Welcome back to another episode of Bucks Latest presented by Fan Arch. As always, I'm your host, Dean Simon, and before we get into everything, please make sure to leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe. We are still on the road to 2,000 subs, so if that's a journey you feel compelled to join, please consider pressing that big red subscribe button down below, and also turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future Milwaukee Bucks updates. And the first one that I'll be providing is that, yes, the Milwaukee Bucks did lose an easily winnable game, 129-126 final score to the Washington Wizards without Alex Sarr, I will add, who is kind of having a most improved player type candidacy of season, averaging about 19 and 8, but he was missing from the lineup for the Wizards. So you would figure this would be a pretty easy one for the Bucks to handle, considering that they now have a healthy Giannis Antetokounmpo and Miles Turner front court that can, hopefully dominate against Marvin Bagley and whoever else, and Tristan Vucevic. But you'll come to find that no, that's not something that is plausible or that can happen for this team. So yeah, that's a really fun little tidbit. Nobody can stop CJ McCollum, nobody could stop Chris Middleton, nobody could stop Cam Whitmore from doing their thing. And the Bucks somehow found a way, and I cannot believe that I'm actually about to say this right now. The Milwaukee Bucks found a way to lose an NBA basketball game in which they shot 55.3% from three-point range. You cannot make this up. 55%. And they lost. Shooting 38 threes, hitting 21 of them. If you even come relatively close to knocking down 55% of your threes in an NBA game, 99.999% of the time, it is an absolute blowout. It's a massacre. But the Bucks found that 0.0001%, where they actually end up losing because they lost the rebound battle yet again. They lost the turnover battle, and it was just a pretty embarrassing performance all around. The Bucks took a 16-point lead about midway through the third quarter in this one when Kevin Porter Jr., who bursted out for 30 tonight, 35 assists and 3 steals, incredibly efficient, 12 of 15 from the field. That's like a Giannis type field goal percentage of 80 on 15 shots, 5 of 6 on threes, 1 of 2 at the free throw line. Absolutely incredible game from Kevin Porter Jr., just picking his spots however he wanted to, getting in the mid-range more in the second half, catch and shoot threes in the first half. Man, he was just an absolute monster, was Kevin Porter Jr. But besides KPJ having an excellent game, Giannis just did his thing, 10 of 17 from the field for 26.7 boards, 4 assists. AJ Green showed some playmaking stuff. He had 5 assists in this one to go along with 13 points, and it's basically just a lock for him to hit 4 of his 6 threes on any given night. Bobby Portis, 5 of 10 from the field for 12 points and 4 boards. Even, Jericho Sims played a pretty decent game, 5 points, 7 rebounds. And one thing that I'll definitely commend Jericho Sims for is the fact that he came into this game and he actually put effort towards rebounding the basketball when it seemed like no one else would. But that is actually a topic that we'll get into a little bit later. 55% shooting from three-point range, and you lose the ball game. And there are several factors that you could point to for this happening, whether it was the fact that the Bucks ended up shooting actually 18 less field goal attempts than the Washington Wizards throughout this one, 84 to 102. They also, how many free throws did the Bucks shoot? Wow, they actually shot more free throws than their opponent for once. 13 of 21, knocked down half of them, even though they took more. That's a pretty great consolation prize there. Man, how do you possibly lose a game of this nature shooting the way that you do? The Bucks, the only way that they were even hanging on towards the latter stages of this game where they just completely blew the lead and things were not looking in their favor was the three-point shooting. But of course, when things went cold, when the faucet turned off, what could they really do? The craziest part, though, is that in the fourth quarter, number one, can I just say, we talked all offseason about this team kind of wanting to push the pace a little bit. What pace has been pushed? The Bucks took 19 shots in 12 minutes in the fourth quarter and only took 6 threes in 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, and they knocked down 4 of them. The Bucks lost a fourth quarter in which they shot 58% from the field, 67% from 3. Somehow that equates to losing a basketball game and losing that fourth quarter by 6 points. They allowed the Washington Wizards to score 38 On 15 of 25, they shot 6 more shots in the fourth quarter, hitting 6 of 8 from threes in the fourth quarter. Man, what can you really even say anymore? The fact that the Bucks are routinely making it their mission to lose basketball games despite shooting close to and above 50%. And we need to just get a grip on this. We can't let these numbers kind of we can't be desensitized to this. The fact that they shot 55% on threes and lost the game. That doesn't happen in the NBA. I need to get this point across. But one thing that I'll mention here is the lack of rebounding totally is the central issue, especially when you got a guy like Miles Turner who was just physically overpowered by Marvin Bagley, who was the story of the game. Let's see the actual full game stats. I'm still in the fourth quarter here. Marvin Bagley in 29 minutes of play, 11 of 16 from the floor. If I can move my mouse, that would be amazing. For 22 points and 9 rebounds. And get this, 7 of Marvin Bagley III's 9 rebounds were offensive. You can't make this up. 6 of Justin Champagnie, Julian's on the Spurs. 6 of Justin Champagnie's 8 rebounds were offensive. This is absolutely ridiculous. The coaching staff should be ashamed because what do you go into the huddle? What do you go into the practice facility saying or preaching at this point? That's not okay. We need to stop the opposing team from grabbing offensive rebounds. Miles Turner put up zero fight whatsoever against Marvin Bagley III. Again, just physically overpowered. And that's not even the worst of it. The Bucks guards were physically overpowered by Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum and Cam Whitmore trying to, bump their way towards the basket. CJ and Chris Middleton, backing down in the mid post. This was just an absolutely embarrassing night to be a Milwaukee Buck. And you can't put any of this on KPJ, who was absolutely stellar. You can't put any of this on Giannis because he was stellar as always. Of course, missed the free throw down the stretch that would have tied the game. But anyways, that CJ McCollum three at the end just completely buried the Bucks' hopes of winning that game. But the rebounding is the only focal point that I want Doc Rivers to be preaching to this team in the locker room the next time he has the floor, because or has the team's attention is what I mean by that, because this cannot proceed where the Bucks lose a game where they shot, I'll say it one more time just for emphasis, 55% on threes. Was this the worst loss of the season so far? There have been a couple pretty ugly ones, but maybe this is the most frustrating because at about 20 games into the season, we have come to know that these are the recurring issues. They're top of the league in 3-point percentage, but they're not shooting enough, not allowing, or they are allowing their opponents to grab way too many offensive boards, and that creates so many second chance opportunities. Just the number of possessions that were created by Marvin Bagley and Justin Champagnie alone in this one should be cause for some type of firing. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. There's just no way that the Bucks can keep on losing games like this. But it doesn't get any better because the red hot Detroit Pistons at 17-4 after their win against the Atlanta Hawks tonight by 1 point. They will be waiting for the Detroit or for the Milwaukee Bucks on, will that be Tuesday or Wednesday? On Wednesday. Cade Cunningham's playing like an MVP. Jalen Duren's playing like the most improved player and all-star, all NBA caliber center. So if Miles Turner, who again, we need to talk about his physicality at some point in this season because it's completely gone down the toilet. If Miles Turner can't handle Marvin Bagley, then Jalen Duren, again, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm not a betting man, right? But one thing I'll say is Jalen Duren, I might have an insider source. Jalen Duren might go for 50 and 30. Just gonna throw it out there. Not giving anybody any advice or anything. But 50 and 30, you could essentially lock it in. But anyways, that'll be it for me today. Thank you very much for tuning in to yet another episode of Bucks Latest presented by Fan Arch. As always, I'm Dean Simon, and before you go, please leave that like, leave that comment down below. Was this in fact the worst loss of the season so far for the Milwaukee Bucks? Let me know, and subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will see you guys in the next one. Go Bucks.